Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of PitchUs. We have great entrepreneurs here from ZENBASE joining us. My name's Tim Cooley. I am the author of the Pitch Deck book. One of the reasons why we put this whole podcast together is to really increase the outcomes of founders. Join with me today is Jeff Erickson. Jeff, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jeff. I'm with a company called Forecaster that makes financial modeling easy for founders. I'm also an active angel investor and startup mentor. So we're excited to have ZenBase on here with us today. Jesse, I guess you can go ahead and now pitch us.
Yeah, yeah. So to give a brief introduction, we'll go more into depth later in the slide deck. But I'm just co-founder, president, Jesse Freelander. Had a background in crypto, finance, yoga, brought me onto this. And this is my partner.
Hey, I'm the CEO and co-founder of ZenBase. My name's Connor Chase. I've known Jesse since high school, and my background is mostly in UI UX. And I've moved to Utah about a year ago and worked at RevRoad, which is one of the startup accelerators here in Utah. So I've had a chance to work with startups and now building my own.
He lives with me now, practically married. Never is out of my sight, which it's a great thing, but you know. So we're here today just really to introduce our product, project, and our mission, which is ZenBase. And ZenBase is a meditation platform with cryptocurrency rewards. Now, the problem that we're really trying to solve is a problem we all go through because we're human. It's that innate suffering that is in with all of us. Generally, what we believe causes suffering is thoughts. And growing up in educational systems, we are trained to think. That is rather about the future, which can induce anxiety, or the past, which generally induces depression. Yet, what we're not taught in school is that by focusing your attention on the present, there's only perfection, love, and connection with everything outside of us. Now, society, they've been leading us astray from what our ancient ancestors have taught us, which is just to listen and connect with the world. Obviously, they're pointing us in the direction towards pharmaceuticals, screens, relationships, to many other external stimuli that's supposed to solve our suffering. This is not the case. Where 1 in 4 people are on psychiatric drugs, which is a major problem. Depression, anxiety, mental illnesses are the second cause of death for people ages 10 through 35. So what we're trying to do is lead people back to what our ancestors have taught us, and that focusing our attention within the present can create a better life, create better relationships, and overall generally make people happier. Now, the thing is that Calm has saw this opportunity that there's massive suffering within the United States, Western world, and across the globe, where, yes, in the past 10 years, you have had the amount of adults that meditate has tripled. Yet Calm has focused on this, and what they've done is they've forced these people who are suffering to pay subscription to relieve that suffering. Now, what we're trying to do is flip that script. So we've introduced ZenBase, first wellness model on the iOS platform that incentivizes its users and content creators through cryptocurrency. The reason why we've done this is, yes, to help suffering, but we've also saw that there is a massive market opportunity where only within the past couple of years, you have Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer, which have recently just been valued at multi-billion-dollar companies, shown us the path and the foundation that there is a way to unicorn status by providing light within the world. That is meditative content to guide people's attention towards the present. As we know, attention, it's pretty much the new crude oil that wasn't in Industrial Revolution. Attention now is what people are mining. So what we're trying to do is lead that towards something that will benefit society. Now, while you have the wellness market size of over $4.5 trillion, Brave, Coinbase have done great foundational standpoints on making pretty much crypto mainstream, have made it easier and showed us that crypto rewards model for validation and attention is proven. Now, crazy thing that we saw with cryptocurrencies is the euphoria and the bubbles within the past couple of years, where you have Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, which are just meme coins, meaning they pretty much have zero fundamental value to society. They were valued at over $80 billion, Shiba at over $40 billion. Meaning, if we create a token that can truly disrupt a meditative industry and provide a benefit for society, we're sure that unicorn valuation isn't far fetched. The question is, how does it work? ZENBASE, it's pretty simple. We released onto the App Store. You spend 5 minutes listening on an open free library to any content that you choose, then start earning Zen token, and you can turn these to cash prizes and many other features within the ZenVerse. Now, the Zen Marketplace has many features we've included. We're proud, it's still in development, although we are pretty much, you can claim it's a prototype because it's not the vision we see just yet. Yet, as development continues, within a couple months, V2 and all these features will be included. So pretty much what users will be able to do with these Zen tokens is we created a utility ecosystem, meaning users will be able to tip creators, they'll be able to purchase gift cards, purchase wellness products on our consumer good marketplace and also our service marketplace. And also, we have many other features such as minting NFTs. Now, the question is, how does that work? Why would you want to contribute to the platform if you're a content creator, and does Zen token even have value? So at least we got 10 minutes, meaning we can go a little bit in the fundamentals. So to show our tokenomics is that I was a prop trader for a couple of years working at T3, and I really understood what gave cryptocurrencies its fundamental values, meaning we mirrored the fundamentals of the most valuable cryptocurrency on earth, Bitcoin, showing a 21 million supply cap, meaning after that, no more tokens can be created. As we know with cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, as more users mine the cryptocurrency with energy, it then becomes more difficult. So what we did was we replaced energy with total time spent meditating, meaning early adopters will mine a lot more crypto than somebody 6 months down the road entering into the platform, incentivizing that early adoption and growth. Now, how it contributes and incentivizes both users and content creators is our hashing algorithm distributes 70% to the user that's listening and then 30% to the content creator that created the content. So it creates that positive feedback loop, allowing ZenBase to self-sustain itself. Great thing also, layer 2 marketplace, is that NFT, where content creators can turn their content into NFTs, then selling their potential royalties, their fungible rights, to anybody that think their video is beneficial and may blow up in the future. We did release just around 2 months ago, $0 on marketing. Like I said, it is practically an MVP, yet we've seen over 600 downloads, 8.64% today in daily active user rate, which is great. We're very proud of. Yet, we're looking towards the future. Of course, there is always more. And once we have that perfect, product, such as Elon Musk did with Tesla, then we will be pushing on our marketing and guerrilla campaign. The revenue model on how ZenBase makes money is a freemium model where there's ads when you first enter into the application, and then you have that option to purchase ZenBase Premium for additional content, abolishment of ads, and many other features within it. We do expect around 9 million in monthly recurring revenue just from the ad spend and subscription. It's all in our pro formas, and if you'd like to dig deeper into it, please reach out and we'd love to share. Now, the team in any startup is the most important. You can have a great project and a weak team, or a great team and a mediocre project, and I go with a great team any day of the week. Now, that is why I'm glad to say we have Connor Chase. He was one of the lead UI, UX designers at RevRoad, one of the top venture capitalist firms and accelerators within Utah. I came down here just 6 months ago and I whispered in his ear that we have a baby to take care of. He quit his job, and now we're working on ZenBase full time. My background in finance, crypto industry is I was a prop trader at T3 Trading Group in Boca Raton, Florida. Got my Series 65, 57 SIE, and also coded a couple trading algorithms. But what really got me into yoga and spirituality was I had a loss in my family and noticed that every other outlet that society was providing was not working, meaning that I knew there was some way to relieve the suffering because everybody goes through it and somehow people have to find a way through it. And that's where I was very fortunate to have my mother, who was a yoga instructor as well. And she really opened up the door, even though I didn't take yoga classes when I was younger. But she showed me the path and showed me that if you do work on yourself, it will then show to your personal mood and also everybody around you. So I took the initiative, went to India for a couple months, got my yoga license, and ever since then, haven't looked back, just been diving deep in the ancient texts. We have Pharaoh, our CTO. He's been taking charge of the technical side. He was or is an ex-employee of Microsoft, Amazon as a software engineer. We're very proud to have him on the team. It's been very beneficial. Right now, we're manifesting 450K at a 7 million valuation for our seed round. Keep in mind that this investor, or the ones that are hopping in, we're currently in negotiations. It's going to be a 2-for-1 where they do receive equity within ZenBase, but also in tandem, they receive equity within the tokens. And so it provides liquidation for the investor and also a long-term position and goal for the future of ZenBase. The roadmap, we've been hitting everything very punctually, and we're more than glad to say that our developers are doing great. And so our expectations is by Q3, Q4, December 25th, hopefully, is that we'll have the V2 update and the cryptocurrency released onto exchanges, providing that liquidity and also our entire vision and white paper released to the market. So overall, as you guys can probably tell, we're just trying to help the world in what we believe is the most beneficial way. And that is just by setting one's attention towards the present, self-realization, and self-education. So through that, we're just asking you to invest in the future of wellness. And that's the pitch.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great. Yeah, thanks for that. Was good. Let's start off with talking about things that we liked. Jeff, please start us off.
Yeah. Jesse, great job. I think one of the things that kind of hit home with me was, your openness and, just kind of likability. It's like, hey, you just kind of talked openly about, hey, here's the problem is out there. I liked how you defined the problem. Really at the front end of the mental health crisis. I think that's something most people relate to. It is a big problem that needs to be addressed. Some of the other things I thought that your experience as you got into talking about your team and stuff, I was impressed by your experience on the finance side and some of your crypto experience. That you were at T3 Trader. I don't know how long you were there or anything, but I thought that was pretty good as well. I liked where you were also talking about calm and the issue there. You brought up the point that 55%, was it 55% of people drop after like the first 30 days?
Yeah.
And so, I thought that was impactful, and you've still got a billion-dollar company that is having a difficult time with retention. So those were some things that I thought were really good on the presentation side. There's definitely some things that I think we can help you with and give you some guidance on.
Yeah, totally. Guys, I think you guys had some really heavy hitting points. that I think you didn't realize were so good, scattered throughout a little bit of chaos. So I'll say that like there's some really, really good points. Jeff mentioned calm. And I think that those things, if we organize this thing a little bit differently, can really bring those things out. I think the reason why you started the company makes a ton of sense. And I think that what we might be able to do is help pull more organization that will help you really amplify those areas that were really, really good. But I will say, and we'll get into the ways that we help, I think because of the way that you guys presented it really just didn't hit those points that were actually really, really good. And so they were kind of hidden in some ways. But yeah, overall, I like the colors. I think it matches. I love the name. I mean, it's like little things like that where like those things just like ZenBase, Coinbase make sense. Like bringing those together, like there were just some really good elements there, and it's clear that you have a great UI person on your team and it was showed up in the deck. So great job there. Yeah. But with that, like I'd love to dive into where we can help because I think this is one of those ones where like you guys have a lot of work to do, if I'm going to be honest. But I think there's some really good pieces. But so Jeff, why don't you start to help? Let's help them.
Yeah, I'll just mention when Tim said the word chaos, I kind of relate. It did feel a little chaotic in terms of putting it all together. So some of the things that I thought, I'll just take a couple of minor points here to start out with. But some of the slides, when we say this, it seems like every single pitch that we go through, we talk about the font being way too small. There were times where I had to kind of zoom in on the content to see what I was trying to read. So be careful on the font and make sure that you're able to read it. I noticed on your market size slide, for example, I mean, to figure out what the TAM and SAM and SOM were, I mean, it was just a teeny little circle there. It was part of the pitch page there. So yeah, be cognizant of your font size. Tim, what do you say? It's normally a minimum, or the lowest you can go is like a 22-point font.
22. Or the other one that we love to say is, take the oldest person in the room, divide by 2.
There you go.
Right. So that's just a general rule of thumb, but 22 usually works really, really well.
So
Gotcha.
A couple other things I thought I'd address here are, just explaining kind of the way that the model works. I know you spent a little bit of time on the revenue model, but it felt really squishy. Like, yeah, we're going to be to 9 million in ad revenue, and it's like, how? Give me an example of somebody that's going to pay and how much they're going to pay and how many of those people are you going to get. Felt really squishy and it didn't give me a lot of confidence. And so that's something I would definitely work on. And it sounds like, I mean, you've got projections and your pro formas and all of that. Maybe you could pull out a few things in there, but I mean, you don't want to go into too much detail, but just give us some level of comfort that, this isn't just pie in the sky.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
As you got into, talking about the company, there were a number of times where you mentioned, unicorn valuations and you started talking about Dogecoin and some things like that. And I'll tell you, the first thing that comes to mind is like, okay, the unicorn potential. I think using that term almost makes it feel like even more squishy because one, I'm not super comfortable that in the short-term revenue. And now if we're talking about $1 billion valuation and we're going off of things like Dogecoin and things like that, I'm like losing confidence there going, all right, I know where Dogecoin was. And I know that, it also fell to the ground and there's a lot that goes into valuations of tokens. That's not something that as an investor, most people are like jumping up and down about right now. And so I'd stay away from some of those things, especially when you get into valuations, because some of that can be so subjective and there's, I don't know if you want to be the next Dogecoin unless you sell at the peak. And so I don't know that I'd reference some things like that. Um, let's see, a couple other things. Um, I wanted to understand. I thought this was kind of cool, where you guys were jumping into the Bitcoin comparison of there's 21 million Bitcoins, and then the energy to create those becomes tougher and tougher with the energy consumption as you're mining. And you mentioned that the way that this is going to work is by the number of meditation hours that go into, and that provides the energy to unlock these coins. If I understood this right. I don't know that I fully comprehend how that's going to work, um, but it sounded like a cool concept. I just don't know that I'm completely sold on it. So again, I mean, it's something I'd have to dive into a little bit deeper. Um, it did give me a little more comfort to know that Jesse, you've had some experience on the crypto side of things. I probably would have wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper as well. Just how much experience, how long have you been, or were you at T3 Trader? I like that you've got some of your securities licenses and some familiarity there. I think that builds credibility. I will mention on the team slide where it had you and Connor, it did make me wonder. So, okay, why is Jesse presenting and Connor's not? Connor's a CEO. What does Connor have in terms of kind of what you're bringing to the table? Because what I saw was designer, right? So, okay, he's the UI guy or the UX guy. That's awesome. That's typically not your CEO. The CEO is your visionary, the founder. It's like, we're going to make this happen no matter what. And so we didn't get a chance to really get to know that about Connor and kind of where Connor fits in this whole picture, really. So that was something that I think you can figure out how to address. Same thing on the one other thing on the team slide that I'll just mention is you mentioned another guy that was at Microsoft, and then you had this picture of like 10 people up in the corner with these really tiny pictures. I wasn't sure who any of them were, and that I'm just guessing that one of them was the guy that was at Microsoft. That gave you some credibility. I think the Microsoft thing, if he was there for a good long period of time, maybe dive into that a little bit, because I think you do need a little bit more of the credibility piece on the team. So, and maybe that's through advisors or some other things like that. But I think that is needed with your presentation. So I'm going to pause there and let Tim maybe jump in. But I hope this is helpful, you guys. I mean, I'm just trying to feed this back to you as I experienced it.
Very helpful. Very helpful. We'll definitely be making those changes moving forward.
Yeah, so I agree with everything Jeff said. Let's take a couple things here. I think you'll need to really define the problem a little bit better. For example, the issue with Calm in every app like that is, hey, we know you need help, pay me. I thought that was such a genius line. Like, I've never heard that said that way, but every app is that way. But the truth is, and let's take that one step further, is that's true, and they're $1 billion valuated company. So people are clearly paying for it, right? But that is the reason why you guys created this. So if we just take this straight from the problem, right? And I think it actually is important to start with the real story. Like, you had a death in the family, you wanted to do something, your mom helped you change your life, and you're like, what if we could match? You're like, I tried all the other products out there, and they just didn't fit with what I wanted. I didn't want to have to pay when I was hurting. Like, that didn't make sense to me. That beginning is so powerful, right? That you're trying to find a better way, right? And that leads to what ZENBASE is, right? And so I think that beginning was just lost, right? You guys talked about yourselves and the team, and then you kind of sprinkled these, like I said, killer moments throughout the presentation. And I wish it was just in one area, right? So that's that problem definition. Okay, now let's move to the next solution. Like Jeff mentioned, we just really didn't get an idea of what the solution was. Like you kind of put some really beautiful imagery, but yeah, how does the cryptocurrency work as far as like, look, we have for these classes, every time you do them, you get based off the amount of time, like just walk me through what the product is in a very simple, user-centric way, right? Then walk me into the business model, right? So, it's supported by ads, it's supported by whatever the story is, a premium model, great. And then go into these financials. Really just read my book, right? Follow the order in the book, but you guys have a pro forma, clean that up, just show us what time looks like, right? What's the next 3 to 5 years look like? If we go from 600 users to 10,000 to a million, like what does that look like over time? And I think that will really help clean up, like I talked about the chaos, right? It was like problem, a little bit of the model, then you went back to the solution, and you kind of kept jumping all over the whole pitch. But if you keep that story driving, it'll help us stay engaged. I mean, you're an engaging presenter. Let's get you just focused, and I think that'll be really helpful. Okay, so let's go from that to market, right? Never, Jeff mentioned this really bit, and I'm going to push on this. Don't talk about the valuation of other companies. They're literally irrelevant. You need to convince me that there are, you already kind of talked about it, 1.2 million people who are suffering in this certain area, bailing on applications because they don't want to pay, right? That's the market that you're going after. Talk to me about all the people who are suffering and don't want to pay for a solution, but they need the help, right? That's an easy number to get. And we're already on board because, again, your background already led us down that path. Yeah, you're not selling us on valuation. You're selling us on the number of people that you can help. So kind of get rid of that entire idea. It's just, it's, I'll be honest, it's cringy. Like, it's just, right? It's just cringy. So don't do that. Focus on the customers. Traction, 600 downloads. It's not a terrible number, but like, what have you done to get that to, what's the plan to get, this is what Jeff mentioned. How are you going to get to 10,000? How are you going to get to 1 million? And you got to convince us. And usually you're going to do that with your team. And so like, this is a marketing play, right? Who on your team is just absolutely stellar at app downloads, right? If you don't have that person, find that advisor on your team, right? Like, look, we have a person who's gotten 600 million downloads to the App Store, and they just joined our team as an advisor. So think about rounding out your team that way. I don't know. The pictures were too small. We don't know what those people do. You went in a lot into detail with the token, and I know you're like, oh, we've got 10 minutes. We got time. You really don't need to unless it's tied into the solution offering. I like to call this is like going into too much detail, and a lot of medical people do this as well. Like they're like, let me walk you through how the ligase polymer works, and like, I don't really care. Just kind of get me to the solution. And then I will say this, and Jeff knows this is one of my things. Don't end with a thank you slide or a contact me slide. Wrap up with that ask slide, right? You kind of had a milestone slide, like things were just kind of a little bit out of order, but so go into traction, go into milestones, talk about your team, and then wrap it up with, look, we're looking for 450K. It's going to do, we're going to hire these 5 people, and then we're going to accomplish these things, and really end on that. It's very powerful to end that way. Make it your last slide, add your contact detail there. If, like I said, if I can change one thing in this industry, that would be my thing, is to always end with an ask slide. But there's like I said, I hope this comes across. You guys have the points in there. Focusing it in a really clean way will really help bring the business model out and the opportunity. Whereas, like Jeff mentioned, you talk about, meme coins, and it just really kills it kills really what you're building. I'm being honest. So with that, we'll get to the final question, and that is, Jeff, based off of what you heard today, would you move the company into due diligence?
Yeah, definitely too early. I think Tim mentioned. I mean, you've got a lot of work to do. I think you can clean that up. I think the other thing that investors are going to look for is getting a little more traction. 600 users, great. I think you said 8% daily active users. So I think it gives you like 45 people, something like that. um, yeah, if you can see that go up, and I would track it over time and say, hey, here's what we're seeing over the next 3 months, and really focus on how do you get the user engagement up and the number of downloads up. That's what investors are going to start to really hone in on. um,
Hmm.
Especially where it's a freemium model where you're going to be relying on ad right. You guys are a ways away from that, so um, you know, there you go. I probably not yet.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree. It's the from the presentation point of view, again, it was just all over the place for me. So it's just a no moving forward. But I think what's interesting is the space that you're going after and the reason why, and that's why I would love to follow you guys. I mean, I don't know if there's something here, but I think if I'd love to see the next version of this deck, if I'm being honest, because I think if it's said correctly, somebody would be interested in following you along. And based off today, again, that's why we're very intentional with this question. Based off today, would we go on? The answer is no, but maybe in a different version, you guys get those metrics going, and that's the reason why I think you need an advisor. I don't know if you have somebody who's grown an app and they're like, look, these are the critical KPIs along the way of app development, and you're like, look, we're right on track. 8% daily active users is a good number. I don't know if that's true or not, but um, those are those things that we're looking for. But thank you guys for being here. If you guys are out there needing help with pitch decks, we love doing this. Please apply. Secondly, if you need help with your finances, make sure they're in the deck, and check out Forecaster. There's always a link in the description below. Great discount there. I'm not going to find that anywhere else. So thank you guys, Jesse and team. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you all next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks.